Alright, in this section we're going to talk about getting started with Pinterest, and so we're going to take it from the top. I'm assuming that you're not on Pinterest already. If not, go ahead and set up your free account and complete your profile. Very simple to do, should take you just a couple of minutes. One question that comes up from time to time is whether or not you should use like your brand name if you have a strong brand for your website, or just use your personal name. And I really think it's up to you. In our case, in the success story I mentioned, we've used our site name as the profile name, so I just signed up as the name of the website because it kind of sounds cool, and that's worked well for us. We've built up a following and have a good amount of traffic that we get from that. But if your personal profile is associated with your site and people kind of know who you are, you want them to know who you are, like a mom blog or something like that, then absolutely doing it as yourself is fine as well. I don't think there's a wrong answer there. I think you should just get a sense for whichever one's a better fit and then fill out your profile based on that. Either way, make sure that you have the URL of your website in your profile. May sound like a no-brainer, but I think that's an optional field when you sign up. Make sure you do that so people can see it very clearly when they're viewing your profile on Pinterest. And then the next step that we're going to look at is go ahead and create 10 boards that are related to your market. So in the last session we talked about thinking creatively, if it wasn't obvious the kind of stuff you should be pinning on Pinterest based on what niche you're in, thinking creatively about the kind of content and what some of your competitors are doing and what's working for other people. So go ahead and start creating those 10 boards that are going to serve as like your initial categories basically of the kind of stuff you're going to be pinning. So this is going to be content from your website, content from other people's websites, that sort of thing. And eventually you can get well beyond 10 boards. You can have dozens and dozens of boards. We'll talk about group boards and things like that. But for now, I think starting with a good base of 10 or so, doesn't have to be exactly 10, is a good way to start because it lets you start pinning some things, all right? And so ideally, these board names, as you're naming them, you click on a little plus sign, create the board name. They should be descriptive and not something that's like humorous or whatever. So for example, if I was doing a tiny house website, it's about small houses, I might call a board small house design layouts instead of Mo House Mo Problems or something like that. And the idea is that Pinterest search, I've heard it described, I think the digital marketer folks call it like a dumb Google. In other words, like you think Google 15 years ago or something, where very keyword focused, and so somebody is probably actually going to search something like small house design layouts, and when they do, Pinterest is going to show results that have the words small house design layouts in them. And so I want my board to be one of those. All right, nobody's ever going to search some kind of Mo House Mo Problems or whatever, some kind of silly name you'd come up with. So as tempting as it is to do that, I would highly suggest that you kind of stick to the basics. Think about the things people search. You can even go up to the Pinterest search bar and get some suggested searches there. Start typing in what you're thinking about, see what pops up, and just use that as your board names. All right, so keep it simple, keep it obvious, and that's going to help you in the long term. And then the next step after you've done this is to start following boards and people in your niche. Okay, so it makes sense. You've decided your 10 boards, you've created them. Let's say I've got some boards that are about running a marathon, I've got some that are about eating healthy and things like that. I'm going to go search Pinterest for those same ideas and just start following people. Okay, and so I don't automate this part of the process. I just kind of start with doing some that sound interesting to me, and it's just part of being a good citizen, I guess, on Pinterest. And so some of these people might follow you back, probably not many, especially if it's somebody who's really popular. Obviously they're not just going to follow you back, but they'll get a notification that they got a new follower. So it gives you an opportunity. If it's somebody who's a little bit less known, they might see that and hey, follow you back when they see that you've got the same interests. But really it's just key to looking the part. You don't want, when we start talking about group boards and things like that, if somebody comes up and sees that you follow nobody, you look like a fake account or somebody who's never on Pinterest, and so they just kind of ignore you. So really you want to be following other good people that are going to be posting similar content that you're interested in, similar content to what you're going to be posting. And then finally, it's getting ready to automate. And so you're really setting the groundwork here to where you can start doing the next steps of automating your pins. And that's what we're going to be talking a lot about in the next section.